والله لن أنسى مسجدنا الأقصى.
Did you know that that place, the Dome of the Rock, considered as the most holiest place on earth for the Jews? The Jews believe that that rock, it's the rock which Adam and Eve was created from, and Abraham almost sacrificed his son Isaac on that rock. And King Solomon built the temple for God on that place. Did you know that even that place is the most holiest place on earth for the Jews are not allowed to pray on that place because the Muslims don't allow them. That's what happened to Jewish people when they tried to pray on the holiest place on earth for them. Did you know that the Hamas in Gaza called this war that's happening today in Israel Mabul al-Aqsa, Al-Aqsa flood, and they mean to that building? Did you know that on October 7, exactly at the same time that thousands members of Hamas came from Gaza into Israel and slaughtered, killed thousands of Jews, number 2 in Hamas, Mohammed Deif, put a lecture in YouTube which saying that the war which happening now, it's not about Gaza at all, it's about Al-Aqsa, and he meant to the Dome of the Rock. Did you know that the Hezbollah from Lebanon calling this war the way to Jerusalem, and they mean to that? Did you know that the IDF soldiers said that every house they went in Gaza, they saw big pictures of that building? The question is, if you know who built this building, the Dome of the Rock, and why? If I will tell you the Jewish people built it as the third temple in Jerusalem, would you believe me? And if I will tell you that the Muslims even help them because they believe in the Jewish tradition, that's the place of the temple of God of the Jews, would you believe me? You won't believe to this amazing story. Here we go. Our story begins at the year of 610. The center of the Jewish nation on that time sits in Babylon, and the head, the leader of all of the Jewish nation, his name is Hushiel. Exactly at that time, a guy which his name was Khosrow, the king of Persia, conquered Babylon. The Persian leader Khosrow sit together with the Jewish leader Rabbi Hushiel, and they decided to build a new army, Jewish army and Persian army, and go and conquer Jerusalem to build the third temple back again. Rabbi Hushiel called his son Nehemiah and tell him, you have to arrange this army, and he succeeded to arrange 10,000 Jewish soldiers that will join the Persian army to conquer Jerusalem and free it from the hands of the Byzantines. When the Jewish army arrived to Israel, the first thing they did is to go to meet their brothers which live in Tiberias. The leader of the Jewish people which live in Israel at that time, his name was Rabbi Binyamin from Tiberias. He meet them, he hear what they have to say, and he said, okay, I'm joining you. And he have succeeded to arrange 12,000 Jewish warriors that will join the Jewish army. Together there are 22,000 Jewish soldiers which going on the way to conquer Jerusalem. Before they arrived to Jerusalem, Binyamin from Tiberia and Nehemiah the son of Hushiel, the Jewish leaders, went to Khosrow, the Persian leader, and they asked him, if we will do our job, if we will fight in Jerusalem and free it, will you allow us to build the third temple again? Will you give us freedom in Jerusalem to worship God the way we believe in on that place? And he said, yes, I do. I will give you Jerusalem. You will be the king of Jerusalem. Do whatever you want, I allow it. On the year of 614, there was a huge war in Jerusalem. At the end, the Jewish army won the war, and Khosrow, the king, have done what he promised, and he gave the Jews the permission to build the third temple, and that's exactly what they start to do. The first thing they did is to build an altar and start sacrifice on it. And then they start to build a building which is supposed to be the third temple. But they didn't succeed to build the third temple because Khosrow, the king of the Persian, decided he actually don't want the Jews to build it because he's afraid that the Jews will build their kingdom back in Jerusalem. And the Jews were very, very strong people. He got afraid from them and he said, well, you know what? I'm sorry, I was wrong. Do you see that guy? This is the Armenic bishop of Jerusalem on that time, Sibeus. And he writes in his book what happened in Jerusalem on that time. And he writes that the Jews have started to build an altar in the Mount Temple. And they start to sacrifice on it, but they didn't succeed to build a third temple. They just started because Khosrow decided at the end to not allow it. On the year of 630, Jesus went to the Byzantine emperor and told him, you remember that 14 years ago we helped Khosrow the Persian to conquer Jerusalem from you? Now he lied to us. At the end, he didn't allow us to build a third temple. So now let's do to him what we did to you. We, the Jews, will conquer Jerusalem again from Khosrow's hand and give it to you. But you have to promise us that you will allow us to build a third temple. Hercules listened to them and he said, you know what? Let's do it. We got a deal. Conquer Jerusalem, I will take over, and I promise I will give you the permission to sacrifice to God and build an altar and build a third temple on the Temple Mount. And that's exactly what happened. A huge army of the Jews went to fight in Jerusalem against the Persian army, conquer Jerusalem again, and give Jerusalem to the hands of the Byzantines, like they promised. But then, when Archelaus, the Byzantine emperor, went into Jerusalem, the priest of Jerusalem came to him and told him, what have you done? You gave the Jews the permission to build their temple on the Temple Mount. You can't do it. It's not allowed. Archelaus told them, I'm really sorry, but what can I do now? I gave the Jews my word. And they told him, so what? So you can fast one day, ask God to forgive you, and then you can kill them all. And that's exactly what he have done. He fast one day, and a day after it, he just slaughtered all the Jews in Jerusalem. When Archelaus went to the Temple Mount, he found there some kind of a building which the Jews have started to build as the third temple. And he decided to use it and make it a new church on the Temple Mount. At that time, the Muslims, which was a new religion in the world, had a new leader. His name was Omar el-Khattab. And he met the chief rabbi of the Jewish community in Babylon, which his name was Rabbi Bustenai. And he actually fell in love with the guy. He had a big respect to him. And he decided even to become a family. He took the two girls of Yavzigad, the king of Babylon, and one of them he got married with her, and the other girl converted to Jewish, and he gave her to his best friend, Rabbi Bustenai. So in that way, Omar ibn Khattab became family with Rabbi Bustenai, the chief rabbi of the Jewish community. And the rabbi had a big influence on him. One day, they sat together and decided to build the Jewish army again and to go again at the third time to Jerusalem, conquer Jerusalem. And Umar ibn Khattab promised to Rabbi Bustenai, I will allow you to build a third temple, build the altar there and worship God the way you want. And that's exactly what happened. On the year of 638, a huge Jewish army together with the Muslim warriors went to Jerusalem, conquered Jerusalem. Umar ibn Khattab remembered what he promised to Rabbi Bustenai. And the first thing he did when he went into Jerusalem is to try to find the place where the temple was. And he found the old guy which showed him the place. And he bent down over there and he said, God, I promise you, I will build here the third temple and the Jews will worship you over here. And that thing, it's written in the holy books of the Muslims. Omar el-Khattab, he is the guy which made this building which the Jews start to build the years before and he make it bigger and nicer the way it looks today. He's the guy which built the Dome of the Rock as a temple for the Jews. And that wasn't even enough for him. He heard from his brother-in-law, Rabbi Bustenai, that only special Jews can worship God on that place, which called Kohanim, a tribe of priests. So he brought 70 families of Jewish priests to Jerusalem to work in the temple. And that's written in the Muslims' books. Look on that sign, which is in a mosque in a village which called Nova near Hebron. It says there that that mosque, that area, was built by Umar ibn Khattab. And he write on it that he gave the place to the temple which called El Maqdas, Beit HaMikdash. That's the Jewish name for the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, to the special stone. Umar ibn Khattab even made a coin that was traded all over the world with the Jewish lamp from the Temple Mount on it. The last name of the Muslims people which lived in Jerusalem was El Muqdashi, which the meaning of it is I'm coming from the city of Beit HaMikdash. I'm coming from the city which have the temple of the Jews over there. Do you know until when the Muslims called Jerusalem El Muqdash, the city of the Jewish temple? They called it that name until the year of 1099. That's the year which the Crusaders conquered Jerusalem, and the Muslims were afraid that the Crusaders will see them as connected to the Jewish people. That's why the Muslims changed the name of the place from El Maqdas, from Beit HaMikdash, the temple of the Jews, to Qubat El Tzahara, in English, the Dome of the Rock. Did you know that the Dome of the Rock, it's not a mosque? It's never been a mosque. The Muslims are not praying there. They have another mosque which called Al-Aqsa. It's another place, another mosque on the Temple Mount. Do you understand what it means? It's the holiest place on earth for the Jews, and the only people which are not allowed to get in there and pray there, it's the Jews, because the Muslims today don't allow them.